From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, and Star Wars business news, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Napzok here on a Friday. It is the Friday ForceCenter Talkback Edition live. We'll be taking calls from our Patreon supporters shortly. If you want to call in the show, just head over to the Patreon page. You'll find a post with the link to call in. We are camera ready today, kids, meaning if you want to be on the show with your beautiful face, that's what's going to happen unless you turn off your camera, and then I'll see the little screen that says no face, and then we'll do audio only. Both are acceptable. I've just grown to like seeing all your faces. I think it adds some good, vibrant contrast to this old gray face. Folks checking in here like Lost Cosmic Jedi, Serenity Jane, Gaz Nottingham. A lot of you checking in here right now, and we really appreciate that. In fact, I was even thinking of playing around and putting some of the comments up today from time to time. That could be dangerous. We'll see where that goes. We'll go anywhere you want to go today. This is not just one topic. It is kind of a look at Star Wars in general, the fandom, anything you want to go, anywhere you want to take us, go for it. But I think the big topic and what's on the mind of a lot of folks is, of course, the news that slowly rolled out and then has fastly rolled out over the course of the last couple of days that there was a film, not yet in production, but in pre-production, greenlit by Lucasfilm, tentatively titled The Hunt for Ben Solo. It had a production code title, but that is usually just trivia for later, the Blue Harvest of it all. But The Hunt for Ben Solo, which was a pitch, a treatment and beat sheet kind of picked up and run with by Lucasfilm, in which Adam Driver now claims that an NDA is over. I can talk about it. I talked with Kathleen Kennedy, kind of had conversations about, hey, would you want to do anything more in this galaxy? And they went away, and Adam Driver grabbed Steven Soderbergh and his wife, Jules Asner, who writes under the name, at this point, I guess you could say she should just use her name, but Rebecca Blunt is the pseudonym for Jules Asner, who has worked with her husband, Steven Soderbergh, in the past, Logan Lucky. And Soderbergh has very publicly credited her with helping him on making a better female characters in his stories. Also, Jules Asner is former daughter-in-law of Ed Asner, but also a very former prominent movie pop culture news personality. That's kind of where I got to know her first. So I think it's great for her. What a great change, and continue to grow her artistic skills by becoming a screenwriter and working with Steven Soderbergh. So all interesting. As people know, went to the next phase. Everyone in Lucasfilm said, way to go. Scott Z. Burns brought in to work on the script, and they were ready to go. And what is now being presented today, and this is additional information that I literally read 15 minutes ago, Rodrigo Perez over at the Playlist ran a story that's going around. Rodrigo said, hey, 6 months ago, we kind of learned this was the thing. We kind of sat on it, which I actually have a lot of respect for, just out of reportedly caution, Rodrigo says. I actually think I wish more people did that. And there was a little bit more of a full story. Again, full story. It's hard to say what we actually know. As I always like to say, we're not in those meetings. But this was framed as a completed idea, basically a greenlit idea, ready to go into production. We just need you, Bob and Alan Bergman, to say yes. Would you all be interested in looking at this script, giving us a big yes, because you are the parent company, and then we're ready to go. And that this was maybe the first time that had happened in the Lucasfilm Disney relation. Sometimes it feels like a theme park. So we're going to discuss that a little bit today. I'm going to give my thoughts up top, but I definitely want to hear from all of you. And it's been another fun week in Star Wars discourse. Of course, naturally, this takes us into many different ways. Some of it negative, just in terms of how things are discussed post Rise of Skywalker. What I want to discuss about it today, there's three angles to discuss this story to me, and that was the actual story that we don't know much about, but the idea of this hunt for Ben Solo following Rise of Skywalker and what we believe is his apparent death and what that could mean and where the story would go. I have some thoughts on that, but they're all just fun speculation because we don't know much beyond that. The next thing is just the actual business of the story. And I even have put in this thumbnail this idea of Uncle Bob Strikes Again. But I will set y'all up now. I think it's way more complicated than that. I won't use that word nuance, but I do think there's a weird timing when this was brought to Disney. There's some weird stuff going on behind the scenes. We got Bob Chapek on the way, and we'll talk more about that. I also so it's not a defense of Uncle Bob. I don't think a lot of people want defense of Uncle Bob, but I don't even know if we're getting the entire story there, and I want to be honest about that. And then the final thing is conspiracy. Conspiracy. Was this done intentionally? The Deadpool factor. Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh say absolutely not. So that's kind of where we're starting out there. I love the idea. I'll just start right here. I love the idea. The reason I love the idea is for Adam Driver to be interested, I really think it had to be something unique and different. And there's a lot of takes about, I even saw super talented, smart comedian Rob Delaney making jokes about, well, episode 9 didn't count. Fuck off. Fuck off. It did. And I hate that shit. I'm so tired of that shit. Absolutely. This would have been a continuation of the story. There is this idea that anything new is done to change what you don't like in the past of stories. That is not how artists and professionals work, whether they like it or not. Whether or not Ryan liked what JJ did or JJ liked what Ryan did, this is always a continuation of the story. And we have even professional comics and entertainers, or even people like John Fugelsang, who I love, out there just always taking dumb shots at the sequel stuff. That's been anger-inducing this week, too. I love Rise of Skywalker. Sorry. I think it's actually the best to watch of the three. And I am intrigued by this idea of taking that forward because it would not have been Palpatine Returns, which I understand doesn't work for everyone, and I understand the reasons why. I do understand the reasons why. But it wouldn't have been that. If you got Soderbergh, Jules Asner, Scott Z. Burns, and Adam Driver saying, what if we did this? And that Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Carrie Beck. Again, we don't know what this is. We have no idea what it is. It would have been an intriguing take on the idea. It would not have been spider legs. It would have not have been Palpatine's soul being put into someone else's body. It would have been something unexpected. I absolutely think Adam Driver, it's good to have him come on out and be somewhat positive about being involved in Star Wars. That has not always been clear in the past. I think he's had moments where he's said he's appreciated kids coming up to him, where he's even, did he even dress up once as Kylo? I think he's done that. Like he's not, the dude ain't an a-hole. The dude's just a very intense man who does not want to be just pigeonholed into one thing. There was one moment when he had come into the Collider offices. This is after I was a regular employee there, but I was there for Jedi Council that day, and he was in, and messages went out from his people. Do not mention Star Wars. Do not mention Star Wars to them. You can interpret that as, well, he doesn't like Star Wars, or you can interpret it, what I think is more correct, as he's a goddamn artist who wants to move forward, not look back. But Kathleen Kennedy and sit down. Hey, if you want to return to this, yeah, we want to move forward with the story. And here's an idea. I love the concept that we don't know anything about. I love the idea that this is probably a highly artistic concept. This could be, and it's not just the Soderbergh factor of it. I mean, I love Ocean's 11. That's pure art, but it's also a popcorn film too. It would have been Star Wars. It would have been all the things we love, but I think it would have been heady. Especially if you get Dave Filoni excited. Dave Filoni's probably like bumbling with notes of World Between Worlds and all these kind of things. I am not saying that would have been it, but I'm absolutely in on the idea of exploring this character more. And there's some people who say, hey, why not do other characters? They're all valid. Do I want more Finn storytelling? There's a book out now about that. Yeah, absolutely. Does this, to me, supersede my desire for more with Rey Skywalker in the Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy film? Absolutely not. I want that story in the worst way. I wish that was the thing coming out in May of 2026, so I'm excited for Mandalorian and Grogu. I have to make sure that is clear and stated. But I'm sorry. Adam Driver's the best performer in any Star Wars film. I almost want to say Star Wars, but then Andor comes around and there's some goddamn great performances in that. Adam Driver's the best. He's the best. And to continue to explore this character, and to deal with ideas of hope and redemption in a way that is both familiar to Star Wars. It might touch on new ground because all of them had a take on it, and everyone at Lucasfilm said, we like this. I'm absolutely excited and over moon for what this could have been. But I don't think we'll get it. I don't think we'll get it. On the business side of it, I understand beyond the idea of we don't get why Ben Solo is alive. If that's the be-all, end-all, and it could very well be the case. Could very well be the case. They get the script. They say this playlist reporting today says Alan Bergman took some time. We read it. Ben Solo's alive. We don't get that. And then everyone goes to Palpatine. They go to Maul. They go to any Star Wars character. Go to any sci-fi property, right? Right? The character's still alive. That's for better or worse, that's a thing that exists. I just don't think that's all of it. And I'm not making excuses for it. This is just also the reality of Hollywood and the business and the arts. It's not art first. It's business first. And I openly wonder if there was something about, wait, you already greenlit this? You already paid like a high figure sum? I think it was like close to 7-figure sum for Scott Z. Burns to write a spec script. You already did this? Hold on. That's not our arrangement, for good or bad. I think this is a reminder, and I do love this. I love that Adam Driver came out to clearly state Kathleen Kennedy on board, Filoni on board, Carrie Beck on board, everyone on board, story team on board, design teams on board. We were on board, and this falls on the feet of Iger, and they say no. I just will say, I don't think it's as cut and dry as Iger saying it in his sweater vest. I don't get why he's still alive. The movie probably clearly explained that. Maybe even more than anything in the past in Star Wars, where hate and suffering and vengeance keep people alive. What would keep Ben Solo alive, or what would it be about? Is it a spiritual transformation? Is he the first character to come back from the other side? To be truly reborn. Who knows? I don't know. We don't know. We'll never know. We'll never know. I do think the time that this was talked about, 2021, should be noted. Bob Iger had already been set to step down. Alan Bergman was one of the potential replacements, and I think even recently was up there, but now we have the other guy. We have Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden, who now are viewed as stronger possibilities to replace Uncle Bob as he starts to step down in this next year. With streaming being what it was in 2021, you're just coming out of COVID. Other films were more publicly announced, Rogue Squadron, all those things. I forget some of the timelines of Investor Day versus who had what, and Ryan Johnson trilogy and Taika Waititi and all those things. Also, side note, I think it's important to remind all of his fans that there's always 5, 10, 15 projects. There's always things being cooked up, kicked around, discussed, thought of, and even developed or even started to be made that we'll never hear of, right? Absolutely the case. Absolutely the case. I know some folks in town who have pitched Lucasfilm. I've heard some of their ideas, and you go, that would be great. But that's the nature of the business. So I love the fact that while a lot of folks were over here waiting for Rogue Squadron or waiting for Patty Jenkins to actually take a goddamn note on a screenplay to actually move forward with it, or is Taika going to calm down enough to focus on this thing? I love that this was going, because that also means there's other ideas out there, ideas we wouldn't even know, and I love that as a Star Wars fan. But it's 2021. We're in the heart of the streaming boom. It's not dead yet. We just come out of COVID, so it's harder to make things. Bob Iger was going to step down. They held on to him. They said, you can't leave. The board says you can't leave. But he was going to step down and did step down. The human thumb, Bob Chapek, comes on in. He takes over, eventually fired at an Elton John concert. I think there's also something to be said that in the middle of all that transition, it's like an NFL. If you're gonna draft a quarterback, number one in the draft, you need a new regime. You don't want a new coach to inherit that. Either you stick with it, or you let the new coach come in and develop what's going on. It's not saying there's a defense or anything. That's just saying that's probably part of the business too. Wait, you what? This is big. Because that would have been earth-shattering. Whether we liked the idea or not, whether the idea was good or not. All right, we're go picturing, kid. The hunt for Ben Solo, which was not previously announced, not previously known about. It would have been cool, maybe. But I think you're looking at a weird time for it to come out. Again, good or bad. I think there's a lot of harm that maybe streaming has done to a lot of properties and just our own lives. Hell, I don't even know where the hell to watch the World Series tonight. I don't know what service I have to pay for to watch Major League Baseball's World Series Game 1 tonight. I don't know. Streaming has messed it all up. I'm not defending Bob saying no or Alan Bergman taking time to read the script and say no. I just think there's more to the story. And this has been one of those Star Wars discourse weeks where I just think the business and the nature of the business is lost on a lot of the fandom. It's not just as simply as cool story, approve it. I do think there was more to the case. But that said, I'm very disappointed that we don't get to know more and that this doesn't come to the screen. Also, at what point, and I want to make sure, I want to give some credit in this conversation, a lot of credit to this point, to my buddy Alden Diaz from Octo Radio, soon to be launching his new Star Wars endeavor. We were having a discussion today of at what point do you as executives just go, are we doing episode 10 or not? Are we doing episode 10 or not? Again, for good or bad. I don't think we need episode 10, 11, 12. Definitely feels like the Kimberg thing is shaping up to be that. I don't think you need to lock yourself into that. But if you got Rey over here, you got Kylo over here, if Boyega ends up wanting to come back, which by the way, at one point he rightfully probably doesn't want to come back. Oscar Isaac wants nothing to do with it for a while. Now he says, if I need a house, sign me up. But then also he returned to the Disney family with Moon Knight, which was a pleasant surprise for a lot of folks. At what point he was like, get the team back together and let's continue. And if you're an executive, again, right or wrong, I keep saying that today because I'm trying to open up the possibilities to a lot of different conversations about it. But if you're an executive sitting on one of your biggest IPs in your portfolio that is built on trilogies and solo films, and do that mean literally, solo films, standalone films have done as well, but Rogue One clearly did well and clearly has the respect. But you're just like, hey, this is a trilogy thing. Where's our next trilogy? And that's at times uncreative. You want to look at things a little differently. I like the idea of almost like solo films building up to, maybe episode 10 is an Avengers-like film, which is, I say that half in jest. But at what point do you say, hey, as a company, what are we doing here? Just put them all together. Make another one. These films did well. Make another one. And if Lucasfilm pushed back on that, I would agree with him on that. I like this approach. I don't need it to be episode 10. I think that's a factor in too. I think that's part of it too. And then the final thing is, and then I want to take your calls, is the conspiracy angle of it. Did Adam Driver and then Steven Soderbergh do this on purpose so that the film would become a reality? I honestly don't think so. But it could be the result. And, if the fandom makes an uproar, and Uncle Bob looks out of his blinds over there on Riverside Drive in Buena Vista, and he peeks out, and he said, I've been pretty unpopular lately. Will this make people forget about the strikes? Will this make people forget about anything I've done recently? You give him a Ben Solo picture. Maybe. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I believe Adam Driver and I believe Steven Soderbergh are both saying as of today, the NDA is just over. We both like this idea. And it's out there. But it could have the result. And then we'll see. But it'll be kind of weird. It'll be kind of weird going forward. So that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of the overall thought. And again, information coming on out. The playlist article I read 15 minutes before the show. Get Soderbergh on Blue Sky. Adam Driver. Also, Adam Driver being, the one thing I'll say is Adam Driver even saying anything about this is wonderfully surprising to me. Wonderfully surprising to me. There you go. Midnight Nass, a.k.a. Brian Ward, says I miss trilogies because of this long investment you get as a fan. Solo films are fine, but it's one weekend and then you move on to the next thing. Yeah, I I don't need things to be 10, 11, 12. I kind of prefer if they don't for a bit, but I also do want there to be a 10, 11, and 12 if we're going to keep going. And so if that's the Kimberg trilogy, which is what we call it, but it never really, that's just a buzzword, I'd be okay with that. All right. Are you guys ready? Let's do some calls here. Thanks for letting me get through that. I think there's a lot to it, and nothing I'm saying is fact. I have a little bit of fire in my belly sometimes where there's the Star Wars fandom understandably gets like, oh my God, this could have been a thing. Oh my God, this could have been something we got to enjoy. And then it's all boiled down to simple ideas. I'm glad the playlist article possibly debunked some of the Fincher stuff going out there, but David Fincher had a film. I have heard through grapevines it was a Knights of Ren film, and he wanted final cut. They were going to give him that. The article says that wasn't the case, and I, for one, would side with any studio that says no, we have final cut. In general, I with IP, I think that's the business side of it too. It's not all fun and games out here. It's not all dreams and art. There's some realities. But that's also been in this factor discussing stuff this week too. I like Fincher. I like Gone Girl. Let's do a Gone Girl Star Wars film with the Knights of Ren. I don't know. I want to hear from y'all, and you can go anywhere. You could go anywhere with your conversation today. First call of the day coming from Patrick O'Grady. Then we got Jedi James. If you want to call on the show, please call on in. Be a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Get that link there. Let's get it. Patrick, are you ready? You're on the show, my friend. How are you doing? What a beautiful beard. May I please pay tribute to your beard first?
Thank you. Thank you. I noticed we had very similar beards today when I logged in. It's getting a little shaggy, but...
Okay. Mine is overdue.
You're puffing out there a little on the side there.
I am puffing indeed. Patrick, how you doing? Thanks for calling in, baby. I was looking down here at Brady. Thanks for calling in, baby. We got Go Picture. Where do you want to go today?
Yeah, picking up on what you're talking about, I had the thought earlier. I'm sure a lot of people did, but I wonder, and given the timeline, kind of around the Andor time, it sounds like they passed, like maybe right before Andor, season 2 came out. If maybe they would kind of look at this through a different lens post-release with all the critical success and like, hey, maybe we should be giving auteurs a shot at Star Wars.
I like that idea. I don't know. I know Soderbergh's retired like 5 times, right? I know he's said, I'm done. Actually, I'll make a movie on the iPhone. But he's kicking around now, and I think if again, Driver, Soderbergh, Jules Asner, people with good pedigrees, there would be a prestige to this. And I don't know what you feel, and I'll kick it back to you, Patrick. That was one of my thoughts up top, too. Just on the story idea alone, I think it would be something unexpected, not just simply a character's returning. That it would be something, I said art house, it'd be bigger, it'd be Star Wars, but that there was something to the idea that maybe if they were to reevaluate, they'd be like, well, we just got a lot of praise for our art house series Andor. Maybe we could do that with film,
Yeah, it feels like, I don't know why I thought of this. It's not the same thing, but I know when Nimoy released that I Am Not Spock book, and then he released the I Am Spock book.
Right.
But it's like, I feel like it's like, it would be sort of introspective, like, the search is within, maybe, perhaps more than a physical search. But then, who knows? I mean, I'd love it. Could it somehow be a heist movie also, which would be fun, having done Ocean's 11.
I'm on board.
Maybe parts of him they got to find or something. I don't know. But
yeah.
I'm on board. I was immediately on board. I was just like, this just seems like a no-brainer. Like, I thought Adam Driver was kind of wanting to put some distance to Star Wars, but if he's on board, I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I think all of them were for various reasons, right? On records with Daisy Ridley saying, I did that for a while, I did that for 10 years, and then, time goes on. It's not just simply money. I know Oscar Isaac makes a joke about, if I need another house, but he's an artist. Oscar Isaac is an artist to his core. And if someone to come back, and I think John Boyega has a great reason to be wary of working within the franchise again, that he's expressed wonderfully and forcefully and powerfully. And if he decides, all right, time, I think that'd be an interesting character to explore too. Yeah, yeah, in terms of just the Kylo of it all, or the Ben Solo of it all, you mentioned heist. By the way, heist. Yeah, let's do the heist for Ben Solo's soul.
Yeah.
I don't want Brad Pitt in Star Wars, and there was a strong rumor that Brad Pitt might have been squadroning up with some rogues. I don't know if that would have worked for me. And I, Brad the person, I don't necessarily want to endorse, but Brad the performer, I do endorse heartily. But yeah, if we could get Clooney, Pitt, Don Cheadle together, in Star Wars, let's do it. What are some wild thoughts that you have about the idea that you'd want to see explored?
Yeah, I guess I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole for sure. You first, you mentioned it, but like you think world within worlds, and like just something like something happens when he gets killed, and like is there like a split? Not to say timeline, but like I almost see him like stepping out of his body, and he's like, maybe Kylo and Ben are split somehow. I don't know. Just
is he in some sort of purgatory, to just speak of it in layman terms? Is there? I still stand by the decision to have just Luke and Leia showing up at the end of the film in Force Ghost form, but also could you then take that as let's explore why he wasn't there? Is that a window or an off ramp to another story with the character?
Yeah, and could I did also think too, like you could have Kylo in it, and it's like flashbacks, and it's like he's considering the person he was, so you're getting the Kylo Ren aspect of it without having like him in the present. Yeah,
and look, we got the big dangling participle of the dyad and Rey, and whether or not Rey would be in the film. I don't. It would be. I could go either way. I could say that you don't need any other character. You need new characters. It could be. It's not to do with the New Republic or the New Republic. It's just something else. But also, if she starts hearing from him, like explore their relationship, there's a lot of legs there too.
For sure.
For sure, indeed. Patrick, I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate your beard.
Thank you.
I appreciate you letting me accidentally call you baby. And I hope you have a good Friday night.
All right. Take care, man.
Thank you, Patrick. Calls keep rolling in. We'll go on here. We're going to do some audio calls right now. Jedi James on the show. Jedi James, how are you?
Can I be heard right now?
You are loud and clear.
Good, because I've had awful microphone experiences the past 2 times I've called in.
You sound wonderful, but you even sound better now. So take me through what's on your mind.
Oh, geez, where do I go with this? My mind has been all over the place with this news. And the first thing I ever thought when this news came out was, well, I'm staying away from social media for a little bit because I don't want to see the discourse.
Can I say, Chips, I stayed away mostly, if you can tell by my swear words, which we normally don't try to here at ForceCenter. I literally just took a crash course in it the last 20 minutes, and it was reminded about how people love to bludgeon things that they don't like inside of a franchise that they love. And it's just, I'm so sick of it. I'm so done with it. I don't care who you are. I am done with it. But anyway.
You and me both. But I was kind of all over the place with my emotions because my first instinct was, quite frankly, apathy mixed with relief, because no lie, I may be in the minority on this, but I love Ben Solo's ending. I absolutely do. I love the thematic ties it has to Anakin's. Is it possible to learn this power to save people? And Palpatine says, not from a Jedi. Well, you can, but it has to be selfless. It has to be giving without sacrifice and giving, just like a Jedi would, and how he does that to Rey. And I just love that so much. I love in the Rise of Skywalker novelization, Ray Carson just wrote some words that will forever stick with me when he's healing Rey. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, this wouldn't atone for everything he did, but it's something he could do in this moment. And I just love those words so much. I love his ending. So I was a little bit like, how much would I love seeing Ben Solo come back? Because I love it. You can do good things. We've seen it with Maul, with Ventress, but still, I love a good ending. But then I thought about how Adam Driver was on board, Carrie Beck, Dave Filoni, all of Lucasfilm was on board. So I know if they had something, if they were agreeing with it, they would have had something good in mind. So that would have made me trust it. But sadly, we won't know. I did want to say it too. I was angry that the people that don't make the art are the ones making the big decisions on it, which I can still say I'm kind of mad about. Hey, as you said, unfortunately, it's business in the end of it, as much as we prefer the creative. But I also am happy you and ForceCenter in general just reminds us that there's always more to the story, because I don't like it when things are simplistic made simple either. It drives me crazy. So thank you for all the times you stand up that, not defending Uncle Bob, as you said, he's a big, rich, big boys billionaire that doesn't
he'll be
know
all right.
what to do with his money. But there's always more to the story. So a cool idea. We're not getting it. I'm not overly emotional like other people are. I would have loved to see Adam Driver again because he is amazing. He is absolutely amazing. And conspiracy theory on what it would have been, because based off of a previous conversation said it might have been flashbacks. What do you think about this, Ken? I'm thinking about the From a Certain Point of View novels and how there was a story about Obi-Wan transitioning to become one with the Force. In the Return of the Jedi one, there was a great story about Anakin becoming one with the Force. What if this story was all about Ben Solo becoming one with the Force? You said the hunt for Ben Solo's soul. What if he had to hunt for it himself?
I'm on board with that idea of that in a ballpark kind of way. And first of all, I want to acknowledge too. I'm someone who passionately defends Rise of Skywalker while acknowledging what it was, a quick change in direction with a deadline, a release date not really moved. It was moved, but not really. Like it. And I've always said that Terrio wrote in a lot of things that show understanding of the bigger Star Wars story. And I think what you're talking about with Ben's End, whether it worked for everyone or not, and there's some tiny beats of it that don't for me. But overall, I do think it completes a lot of what you're talking about with Anakin's arc and the Skywalker family bloodlines arc. But an off-ramp to something more, I'm always going to take it. But I want to acknowledge I'm with you here, too. I don't necessarily, if it's not going to happen, I'm good with where we're at. And we can always just dream. So good stuff on that.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And I'll say this, too, to make you feel better, because I know you've been hearing a lot of people trash on Rise of Skywalker again, which, of course, there are people who are going to do that, and which fair to not like the movie and all that, but still, there's the not great way of talking about it either. I'll say this to hopefully make you feel better. Rise of Skywalker, I don't think I've ever said this before. It was the first Star Wars movie I don't know how I feel about this. You and Joseph and everyone made me love so much more of it in the years that have come, and now here I am crying about Ben Solos and about I'm thinking about instead of me going like, how do I feel about Palpatine coming back? I think about, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about that be with me moment with Rey. I'm thinking about there's more of us. I'm thinking about well, there's so many other things we could pull from that. I'm thinking about the stormtrooper getting shot and spinning in the air and crashing like the sucker he. See, I love that moment so much. So thank you and Joseph for showing me the great things to love in that movie.
Wonderful. No, I appreciate it. It's one of the things we set out to do, even if sometimes we're the ones that have to find it ourselves, right? There's been times over our history where we too had to come to the table and be like, oh, I didn't like that, but let's discover why. I just will get grumpy where you express a strong dislike of a film, but also in the process don't express an understanding of it. Our buddy David McKay in chat does not like Last Jedi. He's a longtime listener supporter. I've heard his reasons why. I don't necessarily agree with them all, but David expresses an understanding of the art that he is least finding problems with. That's why I love conversations like that versus what the drive-by shots fired out of a car from other figures who it flashes me back to Jar Jar discourse and everything, of which I was a part of. But it's just that, we all agreed this sucks, right? We determined this, right? So I'm just going to keep driving that nail into the wood with my dumb hammer without an actual expression or expressing that you understand the art or allow for other people to connect to it.
Yeah.
And the story of Rey and Kyle, especially the story of Rey in Rise of Skywalker, does connect to a lot of people, even though it doesn't connect with a lot of other people, which is valid.
Yes. I'll end on this note. It is possible, because I will never forget this, when Twitter was still Twitter, wish it still was. I won't ever forget when I saw this conversation. Somebody expressed their love of Tross, and somebody politely said, oh, it didn't really work for me, but I love hearing why it worked for you. And then this person got to respond back, well, that's great. What really connected with you? Oh, I love Andor for this reason. So I love this too in Tross and in Andor. And then the person said, wow, it's great. We found the same thing in two different Star Wars things. That's my kind of Star Wars conversation.
It is. I appreciate it. And I appreciate being part of the community that does that here with us. James, we're only as strong as you all here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for it. All right. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Jedi James calling in. David says, thanks, Ken. Don't get too hot. Calm down, David. Yeah, it's just I get it, man. Being snarky's fun, man. I like being snarky. There's things in Star Wars that you should be snarky about, and I do agree that sometimes we as fans, and I've been the leader of this, can be too defensive about it because so much of our identity is wrapped up in it. But I mean that in a good way, because you could say that in a bad way. You could suddenly devolve into the William Shatner 1986 SNL sketch, which is an all-timer, where nerds were derided for being nerds. It's still prevalent. It's still there. And I just think when it comes to a lot of things, I always go to Book of Boba Fett. I get why a lot of people don't like it. But when you sit there in front of me and drive the fact that it sucks into my soul, and then I don't get to tell you about the 2 moments or the 3 moments that, bring me to tears because they affected me so much, is that invalid? And you're supposed to be on my side? It's one thing to deal with the angry car guys and the red eyes and the thumbnail guys. That's one battle, but I gotta help. Sometimes the calls come from inside the house in Star Wars fandom. Sometimes it's that, man, and that's where it just infuriates me sometimes. All right, let's get to another call. UW fan Jim, check it in. Jim, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing awesome. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear.
Excellent. Hey, I want to start out by saying I absolutely love your show. The three of you are just so important to me. And if I had the financial ability, I would solve your problems. But I'm not in a lot better shape than you are.
Look, Jim, I just want to say, you being here, you liking the video, you leaving a comment is all the help we need. However, if anyone out there is a billionaire who wants to be benefactors for us all, Taylor Swift, now's the time. If only Taylor Swift was a Star Wars fan, Jim.
I'll write her an email or however they do it now. I'm a little older than you.
Okay.
So I have only needed ForceCenter counseling once and that was with episode 8, just because I was a 6-year-old boy in the back of an Oldsmobile watching Star Wars in a drive-through theater, and right. I grew up with Luke Skywalker being the ultimate of ultimate heroes, and so right. There's nothing I have critically to say against it. It just kind of hurt my soul a little bit to see him like that, but I got over it, and I have loved everything else. I am so easy. I love new and different, and I am a sucker for nostalgia, so you can't really go wrong with me. So Disney has all my money, but
I just want to say, Jim, too. Yeah, no, that's a very powerful side effect of any of these films. As a Han Solo fan, I kind of anticipated he was going to die, but when it happens, it's a weird reaction because you've looked up to these characters, and that's not said with any kind of snide, snarky malice. We were influenced by them. Luke influenced you. The character of Luke. And so, absolutely. I wrote about and Why We Love Star Wars about, I did not come out of that screening screaming, yeah, they nailed it. I came out of here going, whoa. I sat with it. I came to a different spot with it where I loved it. Others didn't. And I understand it. But Jim, I validate your sadness in that moment.
Yeah, and I've got to a point where I can accept it. It's never going to be my favorite, but I accept it. It's good. Speaking about Han Solo, I watched that The Force Awakens with my 5-year-old son in the movie theater, and he looked at me and wanted to talk on the way out, and I wouldn't let him because there were so many people going in. It was at the premiere, the opening, We got to the car, so I finally let him talk, and he broke down in tears. Why would he kill his daddy? He just couldn't believe it. And I thought, wow, maybe I made a bad parenting choice. But all my children love Star Wars, and it's not something you can't show them usually. But he was pretty traumatized for a while on that.
Did you set him on your lap and say, "Now, son, this is a good lesson to learn. You shouldn't kill your father with a lightsaber to the chest"? Where may I ask? He was 5 then. He's 15 now. Where is he with Star Wars now?
He still loves it. He loves all my children. He was my baby, like 10 years younger. My oldest son was little when episode 3 came out, and I came home one day when he was about 5, and he had seen a trailer, and he was waiting for me when the door opened. And he loved Anakin, And the door opened. He's holding the red lightsaber, and he says, "This is the end for you, my master."
All right.
But yeah, anyways, this isn't about my kids. I love all the Star Wars. You hurt my soul on the blathering when you called college football an after-school sports. That hurt my soul.
God, Jim, they're college football players are just auditioning for the job they want. Call me back when they get the job, okay?
Yeah. And last but not least, Alexander Freed is amazing, and I think the Twilight Company book gets hurt by the fact people associate it with a video game. I've never even played the video game, but I was in the Army, and it is like the Band of Brothers military type strategy book. That it's the best one. I've listened to that book. I do audio. I've listened to that book 15 times. I've listened to it once. I just love it.
I have to get it.
I've taken too much time. I love your show. I love you guys. And I hope that you stay strong and keep doing it forever.
Thank you, Jim. We are here. I appreciate you, buddy. All right, Jim, check it out. The Twilight Company book, the first Battlefront novel, we never got it. Never got shipped to us. We didn't get it. And not complaining about that. It just kind of happened that way. And so we just kind of skipped it. And I do wish I had it. I'm currently trying to get rid of a lot of Star Wars stuff to clear up some space in my own house and life. But I still think that's on my mental list to go back. I also got to finish Star Wars books. I have to confess something to you, ForceCenter friends. The last 3 Star Wars books I've started, which was the Living Force one, is that the Jonathan Jackson Miller pre-episode 1 Jedi one. I got all the way up to the Ki-Adi-Mundi plain ice scene, and I loved it. And then I just thought, I forgot I was reading it. And then the one with like the like one of the Inquisitors, was it that who was that? Delilah S. Dawson that wrote that one? I thought there was some intriguing stuff in there. I forgot I was reading it halfway through. And then E.K. Johnson's Kira book. I really liked it. I'm going through, and I got so busy. I have yet to pick it back up. I've got to concentrate. Less Fortnite, more Star Wars reading. Quick, Rise of the Red Blade. Thank you, Matthew Stokes. I really liked what it was doing. I thought it was wonderfully complicated, and some of the stuff it was presenting about the Jedi, and clearly had come from someone who had experienced religious trauma or oppressive structures, and I thought it was asking big, important questions. So I will get back to that as well. And Will McLean's get a little sports talk here. I'm in a sportsy mood. Maybe that's what happens when your football team is 1-6. Jim is right about college football, and Kingsport Cal says go Vols. Look, man, do I think college football could be fun and fun to watch? Yeah, but I just think it's always been a weird system to me to watch kids practicing for the dreams and jobs they want. Why do we turn it such big business? That was my thing. James is right. No one writes a violent woman like Delilah S. Dawson. She's one of our greatest Star Wars writers, I do believe. Chris checking in from Broxium. I have like 4 books left to finish. I'm listening to Last Order. I do like. I saw that was out. Don't have a copy of it yet. It's really good. I hope I stick with it. Yeah, it's nothing against the Star Wars things, man. It's just everything going on in life. This isn't. This wasn't like it was back in the day, where it's always been part of the job. But you're just like you had the time. You had a week or two to dive into a Star Wars book. I don't have that time as much anymore. I'm sad. Chris, I gotta reach out to you. I'm trying to sell some Star Wars stuff, and you might be the expert to help me navigate this world. All right. In the time we have left, if anyone wants to call in, we're here for another 15 minutes. Please call on into the show. I know a little high energy today. Okay. I said some swear words. Okay. Sorry. Phantom Otaku, thank you for the super chat. Working now, but I'll watch later. Dave Mackay saying, join the Patreon, Tay-Tay. Come on. There's that story. Who was it? Who was it? Ruby Rose? Was that her name? I'm sounding like Steve Buscemi trying to fit in at a high school. Was she the one that said that Taylor would just kind of sit at home and scroll GoFundMe like it was social media and just help people hit their goals? Is that what we got to do? Do we got to make a ForceCenter GoFundMe? Help us live a better life, Tay-Tay? I'm up for it. Yeah, see, James checks in from outside perspective. You guys watching kids at university play sports in such large numbers is just pretty weird. Sorry, America. Sorry, Will McLean. Sorry, UW fan Jim. I agree with that. What up, fellow youngsters? We got some questions here I wanted to answer too. Gaz Nottingham. By the way, YouTube's doing the weird username mess up here today. Again, call into the show if you want to call in. Great calls already. Get in here. Patreon link is up. Just join in. If you don't want to be on camera, just turn off your camera. I'll see that. If you want to be on camera, show me your pearly whites. Gaz saying, question for Ken. That's me. Do you think this Hunt for Ben Solo movie plot would have contradicted or clashed with the in development Rey movie? In the end, no. In the end, no. But there's a possibility that if these things are being developed on parallel tracks, that there could have been, hey, what are you doing? I'll say it from a complete rumor mill standpoint. There was long-standing kind of conversations about the Boba Fett movie that might have happened. I'm not talking about the Trank one. Was it the Mangold one after? Big Jim denied it, but then maybe it was true. It was the whole thing. That might have been in development that at the same time that The Mandalorian was being developed, which was originally, I will contend, I have no facts to back this up. And the internet is the best place to put factless rumors out there and treat them as real. It's the best place for it. But I think Jon Favreau at Chicago Celebration 2019 kind of confirmed it for me for what we had heard, is that he wanted to do a Boba Fett series. And that was why there was that comment at the convention in 2019 about, I kept sending Dave like Boba Fett socks. Like, I think that to me was a tell that they wanted to do Boba Fett, but then the film was being developed. And there was a little bit of scuttlebutt that there was a walking down the hall going, wait, what are you guys working on? Wait, we're working on this. And it was too similar. Totally not to be treated as fact, but totally understandable and possible. So if you got one team over here going, we're doing Ben Solo, another team going, we're going to do New Jedi Order, but it's a different time and everything. Is there some issue with that? But Lucasfilm felt it wasn't an issue, so I don't know if we'll ever find out. Joel saying, hey, Ken, do you think Kathleen Kennedy's successor, be it Filoni or someone else, is ready to handle the politics of Disney? It's yes and no. Again, some of the offices are not too far from me, but I don't stop in them and talk to Uncle Bob or anyone. I think we're just in a different era. We're going to be in a different era. When Kathleen Kennedy does retire as the president and head honcho of Lucasfilm and sits around to help producing, I say sits around, should be more active than I even in my life, and someone else takes that role or a team takes that role, it's automatically in a new era. Not unlike, technically speaking, from a somewhat snarky point of view, anything in Star Wars now is fan fiction because it's not George's. There's some truth to that. I think that can be used completely incorrectly to support arguments that are just bad. But I absolutely agree with the sentiment in a way. We are all just now living with something that influenced us greatly. You can't avoid it. I think like I'm a old school Saturday Night Live fan. I've been trying to plug back into watching SNL this season. One of my old pals, Mikey Day, still on the show. SNL is no longer what it was. It's always going to be what the expectations of it are, if that makes sense. It is an institution. SNL was begun to take down institutions, then it became the institution. Star Wars was imaginative storytelling, and then it became its own empire of dreams, as we love to talk about here. That said, we're in a new paradigm once Kathleen Kennedy steps down. A lot of these older names step down, where you won't have kind of the cult of personality types in charge. These are the people that movies and books are written about, the Bob Evans, the Robert Evans kind of folks, the big studio heads, the cigar chomping folks. They're going to be younger and different, and the politics will change. I think one of the greatest things that Kathleen Kennedy brings is that she's goddamn Kathleen Kennedy. And whether you like her or not, if she enters the room with you and you're meeting with her, you have to listen. You can still treat her bad. You can still not respect her. You can still disagree with her. You can still overrule her, of which Bob has. The release of Solo, always long-standing rumors that the decision to hire Lord and Miller might have been either from Bob or pushed by Bob. There's also talks of they pitched a Solo film, and they were like, hey, well, we already got Kasdan scripts, so you guys want to direct that? Yay, okay, and then it collapses. But Kathleen Kennedy is Kathleen Kennedy. And whoever takes over, you don't have a lot of those folks. It's not about a lack of experience. It's just they are not the old school types full of gravitas. Bob becomes that, but Bob's stepping down. Whoever's after Bob is to me some executive pinhead, you know? And that's what they all are. No more than David Zaslav. But Iger also comes from sports. He comes from ABC Sports. He comes from the TV world, the news world, and he comes to it in a different way. Like, but he's Bob Iger. He's Bob Iger. But I do think there's something to be said, Joel, to your question, that if Filoni takes over, I don't think he's the big hammer in the room. Carrie Beck takes over. I don't know if she's the big hammer in the room. I think she could do it. I think she has been in line for this for a long while. I have said my little scoop that someone whispered in my ear at the series finale of Rebels, as Carrie Beck was sitting at the end of the row that we were in. That's the person that will probably take over Lucasfilm. And it's played out like that. I think it could be a two-headed monster. I think it might be best. And I think Carrie Beck could walk into a room and be the big hammer if she wants. I'm not saying she couldn't. I'm just saying it will no longer be Kathleen Kennedy on one corner, Robert Evans likes on the other corner. Like it's not going to be that. It's going to be pinheads, which sometimes makes it even worse. Yeah, James is saying what I say. Kathleen Kennedy's got the gravitas. Yeah. Claire checking in Claire says Adam's feature memoir is definitely called Ben Solo. All right, let's time out, Claire. Wordplay alert. Wordplay alert. It's popular. All right, we got another caller lined up. We're going to take a call here. Oh, we were going to take a call from Lapty Neck, but the call disappeared. I'll wait. Let you call back in if you can. A couple more minutes left in the show, and then that's usually when my Chihuahua will start barking, which means it's time for lunch or a little late afternoon walk. So if you want to call in the time we have left here, go ahead and get into Patreon and find the link under the most recent post. You'll need this link. I changed it up this week. It's not in the Discord. It's directed only to Patreon. So sorry, I might have to make you click and go to other things. I know we don't click out anymore. There you go. We'll talk some news on Monday. I'll get Joseph and Jennifer's thoughts on this. I'm just one blowhard windbag with a microphone here today. We want to hear their takes on it as well. Lot to discuss. And I don't mean to come out swinging a little hard on it here today, but I just think, I actually think it's interesting news, but also at the end of the day, it's not news because it's done and onward and upward to other things as well. So anyways, also another thing, I'm hearing that maybe there's been a Reddit leak on the original trilogy stuff. My buddy Ken Plume was filling me in on this week, that we might be looking at some original cuts being restored. And that's fascinating to me if that's true. We'll talk more about that on Monday. I'll hold on to see if it gets a couple more calls in here because we had some ready to roll. So I want to make sure I honor all of you and your chance to call in. Neil says, let it rain. Let it rain. It's like the good alarm song, Rain in the Summertime. There it is. Vulcan Nerd, JMB says, always love BTS or additional content like that. With the Reddit leaks? Who doesn't love a good Reddit leak? There we go. I think we're about done. If no one's going to call back in, thank you those who called in today. Thank you those for listening. Thank you for the super chats. Appreciate you all. Back normal with live news Monday. I think we'll try to get a Star Wars question in. I think thank you all who enjoyed and took in the conversation that Jen and I had on Jen Landa's journey to ForceCenter. It was fun to kind of reminisce. I learned new things about Jen and her perspective on joining ForceCenter, including getting the email from me and where she was, not just literally, but figuratively in life. So Joseph and I will have those conversations, and we're trying to put together. So we are past the actual 10-year anniversary date. I think someone actually posted about it the other day, October 17th, last Friday. I actually forgot. I was live last Friday, and I didn't know that last Friday was the 10 years to the day that we released the first official ForceCenter episode, which was, I think it was a call with Harloff. I think because we did a little you had to get your little preview audio up, and then I did that episode, and then Joseph and Jennifer joined me the next week. So 10 years. We're going to do more reflection on that. It's just, it's not a pat on our own backs. It's more a pat on the community that can just continue to be around us and grow. But it's also kind of wild, kind of crazy. We're planning on releasing in December. If you guys are interested in this, we're planning on re-releasing our Force Awakens review. And then we'll do a little new 2025 preamble. I don't know how much I want to go back and listen to it. I think it's all fine and good. I don't think I've said anything stupid. My voice will probably sound a little higher because 10 years can change your voice. But yeah, that'll come out in December too as well. And David says the next episode is number 800 for the main show. Yeah, or the main run. We're obviously well over 1,000 now, but I think, this is episode 799. It's always, sometimes you always miss one. I think technically episode 1,000 was episode 101. Shh. I think only Mark Knope figured that out. Shh. But 800 of the main shows. JMB says the thumbnail of Ken Napzok, as the dwarves would say, was fabulous. That's right. I don't know if I'll ever clean shave again. I don't know, but I'm contemplating just showing on up clean faced. James says, man, time flies. Must have been around that time I first saw Ken on Jedi Council. Yeah, it'd be around that time as well. Well, no, actually, that's incorrect. I did not appear. I'm trying to remember. I do not think I appeared on Jedi Council till I actually joined Collider in 2016. Because I joined Screen Junkies in August 2015, and they weren't going to let me go pop over on Collider. So unless I had a random day off and I showed up there, I don't think I showed up on Jedi Council till 2016. But I was on Jedi Alliance. That's what Chris says. Definitely calling next time. Well, a lot of good that does me now, Chris. All right, that's it. Hey, you know where to find us? Links down below. Support us on the Patreon page. Get in that Discord. Call into the show. Thanks to those who called in. Patrick, Jedi James, UW fan Jim. Appreciate it all. There you go. That's it. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.